Hello, and welcome back to another encouraging, inspiring, and including episode of the Achieving Unity Leadership System weekly podcast, where we help turn chaos into connection and purpose into action. I am your host, Mark Intrican, founder of the Achieving Unity Leadership System, which is available at www.achievingunity.com, which is dedicated to all leaders, personally and professionally, in improving their lives through encouraging, inspiring, and including others. Today, I will be honored to introduce Karen Leslie, a stress recovery expert, speaker, and educator who helps people regulate their nervous system, align their lives, and thrive in both life and business. Her message is simple and powerful. When we improve what happens from the neck up, everything from the neck down begins to improve as well. As we listen, we're invited to see not just the challenges many face, but the potential that exists when people are, again, encouraged, inspired, and including a better future together. But first, before we delve into this insightful discussion, let me briefly introduce my company, Reality Focus Dynamics, where it all began. Achieving Unity Leadership System podcast is about real conversations for leaders, navigating division, frustration, and change. It's about what we're doing to make those small changes to create those long-term improvements. Leadership feels harder sometimes than it should, doesn't it? Disconnection seems to be growing. Frustration is draining people. It's draining the teams. Good intentions are colliding with real world pressure. But we must remember that unity is not a soft skill. Unity is a leadership strategy. It is a leadership discipline of what we need to help each other grow forward from day to day. Next slide, please. What we mean by achieving unity: encouraging progress without enabling dysfunction. Without enabling dysfunction. Working together, organized. We want to inspire action without forcing agreement. A lot of times we'll nod our heads, sure, yes, right. But maybe we don't know. Maybe that understanding isn't there. Maybe we're a little bit confused. Maybe we shouldn't be shaking our heads up and down, but thinking it out, maybe thinking, I don't know. Can you clarify that for me? We want to be including voices while maintaining accountability. Nothing major. We're not looking for a court hearing, but just for us all to be able to understand ourselves and work with each other, building better businesses, better lives, and a better world, one conversation at a time. Again, I'm your host, Mark Intrican, founder of the Reality Focus Dynamics and the Achieving Unity Leadership System. I work with leaders, teams, and facilities, as well as families, navigating conflict, change, and complexity, helping us all move forward with clarity, unity, and sustainable action. We're going to talk about focused. One thing we know is that focused, 303 focused, is my phone number. We're going to facilitate on clear, unified, sustainable execution and delivery. So let's go into that just a little bit further. Let's go into it in detail. Next slide, please. Focused, Focused. And again, that is my phone number, 303-362-8733. We're going to facilitate or be facilitating through tough conversations that build trust. And then, we're on the common ground with shared purpose. They want to be clear. That's what the C is. Communication, collaboration, and agreements. We want to be unified. Action across differences. Doesn't matter what someone else looks like, feels like. Doesn't matter if they have earrings, tattoos, color of their skin, age, income level. We want to be unified across all of our differences. We want it to be sustainable. That's what the S stands for. Sustainable. Results that last. That's sustainable. Things that last. Something that goes with us each and every day. Not just a nodding of the head, not just a blowing in the wind, but truly sustainable. And then we want execution, consistent, responsible action. And this is not that hard. This acronym is tough to remember sometimes, but all of this is not that hard. This is easy once we get used to it, because then we can begin with the delivery. The delivery is inspired growth and lasting change. That's the improvements that we build on. Inspired growth and lasting change. That's the delivery that we need to think about for each of us going forward. Focus, FOCUSCD. Call me at 303 Focused, and let's get focused on what we want to do next in our lives, growing forward. And as I mentioned, contact us. Love to talk with you. Let's promote clear, unified, sustainable actions. And let's do that starting now, starting today. Reach out to me, explore coaching. I have courses, I have workshops, and speaking engagements to promote unity in every part of our leadership. And again, that's personally and professionally. We can do it working together, because achieving unity is the path to stronger relationships, inspired leadership, and lasting change. And those relationships can be those at home, those can be those with the family, the community, at the office, the universities. Relationships are with us everywhere. We can't do this alone. We're always working with someone else or many other people, one way or another. We did have a change just about an hour before the meeting started today, but these are our upcoming conversations, our leaders, our practitioners, and our courageous voices. Our evangelist, Glo Woods, will be here next week on March 11th, talking about from broken shackles to wholeness, which is a journey of healing advocacy and unity. Next week, well, it will not be next week. I'm looking, we're going to have to replace next week. I'll let you know as soon as I can about who the next week speaker is, because Teresa Skizguric is going to be talking to us about performance success formula, successfully pursuing your passion, but she's not going to be able to make it until April 22nd. We have other guests coming between now and then, but Teresa had to move. Last second, got a speaking engagement in Chicago. Not sure she could be on the call in time, so we went ahead and just postponed her till April. But Steve Nason will be here on the 25th. 5 strategies that end workplace conflict. It partners right along with what we're going to be talking about today. It's going to be talking about more later in the month, but ending workplace conflict, which sometimes turns into frustration. We don't want it to turn into violence. We want to make sure and handle it. So make sure and come back then also. Next slide, please. And one thing we want you to make sure and do. We all think Karen is wonderful. Want you to connect with her. If you look at the QR code on the left, that'll take you to her LinkedIn. Go right to her LinkedIn, use that QR code. Use the QR code on the right. You can go to your YouTube. Find out more about what she's doing, what she has in motion. Get in contact with her. Watch what she's doing. Let's learn more. But first, let's go to the next slide. Let me tell you a little bit more about her. Today's guest is all about system conversations. We're excited to welcome Karen Leslie, a speaker, an educator, and storyteller who empowers individuals to strengthen their nervous system's health. And that's what we have to work on, our nervous system health. We want to make sure to build authentic connection, develop personal resilience through compassionate conversations, transformative programs, and her calm, whole body reset framework. Right, the calm, whole body reset framework. Karen provides practical tools that help people move out of survival mode We don't want to be in survival mode. We want to be able to live and into that clarity, self-trust, and forward momentum. Her work offers actionable strategies and insight-driven guidance. It helps audiences restore balance, deepen self-awareness, and create meaningful transformation from the inside out, from inside our heart, mind, and our soul out to our conversations and our communication. So please help me welcome. Here is our special guest for the day. Next slide, please. Karen Leslie, please. Oops. Hold on just a second. Working with the Zoom sometimes can be challenging. There we are. We on screen?
Yep, we'll be good.
All right, good deal. I am so excited, Karen. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you, Mark. It's such a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you so much.
It's a joy, and I love what you're doing. It's just an amazing process. And we talk about that whole regulating the nervous system and building the way you do. It's such a open door to us in learning about ourselves. And as you mentioned, over and over in your sites, coming from the inside out. So we can share that, our knowledge from the inside. So before we start with the first question, maybe we can take just a minute and start with a little bit about you. How'd you get started? What are some of your goals for the next year?
Well, how I got started was, well, I guess you should never say there's accidents, but it wasn't planned. I started in the energy work area of things because I had three young boys and I thought, ooh, what can I do to help all these bumps and bruises that are arriving? And then eventually I started to think, okay, I'm really struggling personally. My mental health was not in a great place. So I started thinking, okay, so what can I be doing to help me? And I found a lot of great techniques. I did really well to a point, but nothing got me over the hurdles I was experiencing. And they were significant, Mark. Like, I mean, I had clinical depression, anxiety disorders. I'd been in and out of anorexia. And I was suicidal. That started at the age of 16.
Oh, wow.
So I kept pursuing. I didn't give up. And it was when I was actually diagnosed with a brainstem condition that it gave me a whole new perspective on things because it's called Chiari malformation. It's fairly rare, but
Wow.
it compromises the vagus nerve. And then that started all of the investigation into, oh, so what does that mean? And I started connecting the dots in my life. And, I was always living on fight or flight. And I thought, this is connected to how I'm thinking. This is connected to patterns from when I was a child and, a lot of the current way of looking at things, but I was not getting anywhere. And when I then recognized, oh, the nervous system, the significance of its role in our day-to-day well-being and our ability for decision making and focus and clarity, as well as physical health, I thought, okay, I'm onto something. And then I really started to shift how I was working with people. Um, I'm 67. So when I turned 60, I knew all of that history was behind me as far as the mental health. And it was like, okay, now what do I need to be doing next? And so here I am helping people recognize the importance of the nervous system because we don't give it a lot of credit because it's just,
And you,
yeah, it's just always
you
doing its thing, right?
right. And why do we not give it a lot of credit? Because most of us don't know much about it. I'm excited that you found something and you dug into it, right? You looked into what was going on. You noticed something that maybe was different, not necessarily wrong or right, but was different. And you dug in and found out more.
Yeah. It's really was, I felt a personal responsibility. And I have utmost respect, 100% respect for the medical community. But my condition was unusual. And so the different specialists I went to, even the neurologist, nobody helped me or connected the dots as to why I was experiencing all of the different things in my life. Um, and so it's like, oh, okay. I don't want other people, well, highly unlikely they're going to have Chiari malformation, but I don't want people going through what I went through.
Right.
And it became a very strong mission to, especially the suicidal thought. When I found out how common that was, I thought, all right, I need to talk about this. I need to have some simple ways people can look at this so that they can help themselves. Because I don't want people walking in footsteps even remotely similar to what I did. I want people to lead from their heart, trust who they are. And then when we have those moments when we can't find that clarity and our thinking goes wonky or brain fog sets in or whatever it might be, even like headaches can be when your nervous system is dysregulated. Like there's so much here. I thought, if I can make this more of a common way of looking at leadership and health and how we wish to progress in our life, in the same way that like mindset and thinking about our thoughts that are important. If I can get these two closer together, we've got a dynamite package.
And that's so true. And again, I want to compliment you that you saw that and you saw the maybe the steps, the stairs, or the ladder. You took those steps. You climbed that ladder to get out of where you were, and then you've helped others doing that same thing because I can't imagine what that's like to even think about suicide. And a lot of people don't even think about, well, would I ever be in that mode? And sometimes it can come in without us thinking about it, right? It's
Yeah.
not something that we signed up in school and say, well, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, maybe not a lawyer, but be somebody important. And then to think about wanting to give up, that's a challenge, right? I mean, that's isn't there just a lot of things in life that come about that want to make you the stress that I talk about a lot, the frustrations, or something like that to become instilled, as you're saying, in your inner body.
It is,
Have you found? Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's partly, it becomes so instilled partly because that's just how the brain is designed to work. it it's like a library of thoughts. So your most common thoughts, it just brings back to the front. It's like going into a library when people used to go into libraries all the time, and you'd have that shelf at the beginning saying, "Oh, here's our bestsellers, borrow one of these books." Well, my brain was doing the same thing. Its bestseller was "You're not good enough. You're a really bad mom. You've got three children that you can't possibly be helping because of the way you are." And
Oh,
so those thoughts just, the more you think them, the more you get them because, and I don't need to go into all the physical chemistry that happens at the same time that just makes these thoughts come forward. And so you often have no control over it until you understand that you can, you know.
that's true. And that's one of the things I like what you said there, because you don't know until realize you can, that there is a way to achieve more and go to that next level. Have you ever found for yourself that by reflecting on your own journey, and maybe this is some of how you started as you're talking earlier, coming from that dimmer light, maybe even a darkness, to the light that has helped you, would you say, support others today?
I've reflected on it so many times, Mark, because at times it astounds me that I've gotten to where I am today. I'm I'm no longer astounded I'm still here because I know I'm so grounded in wishing to be here and now seeing my value and no longer beating myself up for those past thoughts and mistakes that I made, That was part of my journey. Some were pretty black, no question
Yeah.
about it, because I got really close on multiple occasions. But
Wow.
now I'm like, I don't even know how to describe it. There's this effervescence that's in my body when I think about it. It's like literally bubbles that move up into me and give me chills. And it's just my confirmation that it was all worth it. It was all okay. Doesn't mean I liked it, but it's brought me to where I am now. And I love to talk. I love to use my voice. And so it's like, okay, let's use this to help others. I'm not a great writer, but I love to speak.
I bet you're a better writer than you think you are because of some of the things I've seen from your site and things that you're doing. Because as I'm hearing you talk, I'm seeing that there was that time that it seemed there was some darkness that you had to find, as the saying goes, that light at the end of the tunnel, and to grow with that and to go to that. And it sounds like your philosophy that what happens from the neck up affects everything from the neck down. And I think that's part of it's pretty much central to your work. How
Yeah.
how do you feel that first insight developed?
Oh, what a great question. I got to go back a ways. Uh, okay. Sorry, I work a lot with intuition. So it it really was that I found something that I wanted to create or achieve that was truly greater than me and all of my objections. When I find whenever I get stuck or go into doubt, because yeah, we're all human, I do that. But to shift that and to find something I wish to be creating that comes deep from the heart, comes right from within you, that then it gives me the strength to overcome whatever obstacles and objection that my mind and body may give me. It's kind of like that saying, keeping your eye on the prize.
Yeah. Do you feel that you had some maybe a larger amount of possibly some negativity growing up? What do you think might have generated some of that inner emotion?
When I think of my childhood, most of it's literally a black screen, um, which always worried all of the counselors and, specialists that I would go and see. But I knew, and this may sound weird to some of you, and maybe you as well, Mark, but I knew from in utero that I was going to be a problem because I remember hearing my mother say, "This better be a boy, and it better be healthy."
Hmm.
Um, Pregnancy was a dangerous thing for my mom. And I knew at that moment, that's not me. So I arrived a girl, and it was a problem. I wasn't the son that everybody wanted to carry on the family name. And then at 3 months of age, I was so ill, I almost died.
Oh
So
no.
I also didn't arrive healthy. So it just grew from there. And I never felt worthy, like I belonged, like there was any reason to be in this family. Yeah.
Wow, I feel for you. That is a challenge. I had just the opposite situation. My mother had had a couple of miscarriages. They thought she wouldn't get pregnant again. Boom, here I come. The doctor's saying, in this, it's not going to be good. It's going to be like the others. And she said, no, I'm going to carry this baby full term. And boom, she may have regretted it later, just trying to be funny there, but
We
boom,
did.
here I
Well, we
was.
have our days as mothers. We do.
Yeah, it's no, my mother and I were very close in a lot of ways, but
That's
it's
awesome.
just kind of a to hear like what you're talking about, and then to be born as I was, and I was 5 years late. No, not 5 years late. I was 5 years
That's
past my
one heck of a
post-exposure.
pregnancy.
I was pregnant at 60 months. Uh, but it was a situation where my oldest brother's 14 years and 9 months older than me. My next one's about 13 years and 13 and a half years difference. And my brother and sister close to me were 5 years. And boom, here I come. So it was a point of, was I spoiled? Yeah, probably a little bit. But that whole I don't call it an empire, but the whole process of growing up was quite unique for me. How were you with your family? Brothers, sisters?
I have a younger brother, 7 years younger. Um, he was a surprise too. Surprises can be wonderful. Um, but with 7 years between us, and maybe you experienced with this, like we really grew up as two only child family idea. But as I say, I don't remember much of it. My most of my childhood memories are from photographs that I see and albums that
Oh,
I and stories I've heard people say. I have a beautiful cousin. She fills me in on a lot of my life because she remembers it.
yeah.
So, but I don't I I don't feel I was really very close to the other three members of my family. Um, Mostly, it was probably, I know I was loved, no question about it. And my parents would tell me that. And I know it was sincere. But I always felt there was a difference towards loving a child and then engaging with the child. Yeah.
I can see that too. Is my dad was older whenever they had me. They were much older. And it was my dad was into sports and doing things with me as much. So it was a bit of a difference from some of the other kids who had the younger parents. And mine were a little older. They didn't do quite as much. Is that some of what you saw?
No, it was really part of the reason I pulled back was there was a real expectation of being perfect's too strong a word, but really good at what you do. So if I didn't excel at things, any activities, like, tennis lessons I took or swimming or thing like then I was pulled out of them. So there was no reason to do things for
Hmm.
enjoyment. You did it because
Wow.
you did really well with it. I wanted to take gymnastics. I remember at one point, and my mom said, "Well, you're too old. Like you'll never make, a provincial, let alone a national team." And I was okay, but I just thought it would be fun, you know?
Sure. It'd be fun to do it with your friends in school.
Yeah. But
Wow.
yeah, I grew up being a very good girl, very good little girl or girl, very people pleasing was the way it was needed to be, in order for me to sort of secure my safety in the family. And so
So then, if you don't mind me asking, it almost as we talk about even in our families, I think from ninth grade to senior year in high school, I was like an only child because they had all grown up and gone away. But as I listened to you a little bit, seems like you were maybe on your own, even growing up. You had your own life circle, lack of better words, in a way. Am I reading that right?
yeah. I mean, I had a couple of friends. One moved on to the same street, which was amazing. So I spent a lot of time over at their family's home. Um, but yeah, I was on my own a lot. I don't remember doing a lot of activities. I did none with my mom. Her health was always, um, she just wasn't strong, health wise,
Right.
for a variety of different reasons. She had a really rough, um, life right from the very
Oh,
beginning. Um,
sorry to
she
hear that.
almost, yeah, she almost died at 5 years of age. And so my dad was really busy and he did, you know, I went skiing a couple of times with them, but that was kind of it. And but then he did more with my brother. So
Kind of fit better is knowing what they like, and you were more maybe you don't even put words in your mouth, but what do we do? You know, what what do we do with Karen? We know what to do with the brother, but what does Karen want? What does we want to do with Karen? And since your mother may have had a different life growing up, maybe she didn't know either.
yeah,
Am I?
it was tough for her. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, she did a great job I mean, she really did. Um, but she's been gone over 22 years now. She died, from my
I'm sorry.
perspective, quite young. Like she was only 73. So yeah, so it was different, but I no longer am in that space of blaming them or if only
Beautiful.
or any of that stuff. I have a great relationship with my dad because I've worked really hard to repair it and to get it back on track. And when you're not living constantly in fight or flight, which really most of our world is now, especially since we had the pandemic, it changed everyone's nervous system around the world. And when you can get yourself in that calmer space, and calm's not the goal. I want to be really clear. Calm's your stepping point. That's your starting stone, okay? So when you get to calm, then that gives you more options. It changes your perspective on things and it allows you to move forward and to make different choices because all of a sudden you see how many options you've actually got because you're not living in the small world of fight or flight or even freeze or fawn. And so when I was able to work with that for myself more, it just, I don't know, I just keep hearing it opened my heart. It changed things
That's
around
good.
quite a bit.
Hmm. Well, that's one thing I'd like to touch on, and that's what I hear is, again, you had struggles when you were young, and yet, as I see and talk with you and learn more about you, I'm seeing how strong you were to get beyond those struggles and what you've done and who you are today. And I'm very impressed. Just, of course, this podcast is, I'm impressed, I'm honored. But reading about you and learning about you from the time we met online, I see so much of what you have done. So you have quite a story to tell from what you're telling us today, where you came from to what you're able to do and what you are doing now.
Well, thank
I
you.
think, yeah, it's impressive. But as I listen to that, there's some things I'm not clear on, of course, but it sounds like the regulation of the nervous system plays a key role. How do you explain that importance in everyday life, in leadership?
Okay. In everyday life, it will, when your nervous system's not functioning in its optimal way, in our everyday life, it will give you symptoms and signals. The body is brilliant at giving you signals when things are out of balance. So as I mentioned, more towards the beginning, like headaches can even be a symptom. You know, brain fog, not sleeping well, digestive difficulties, like breathing. Like the vagus nerve is responsible for your lungs, your digestion, your bowels. Like it goes all the way down, and all of your major organs are impacted by it. So anything you've got that, is kind of a complaint that's not really easily worked with could be your nervous system is just not able to cope with that organ. Because our body's brilliant, right? It's going to
Hmm.
send energy to areas that are really necessary, like your heart. It's got to keep going if we're going to keep going. Your brain's got to
That's
stay on
right.
track, or else none of it all functions on its own automatically, right?
Well said. Yes.
So other areas will start to speak out to you. So when you start to, paint the numbers together, line them all up, you can see how just nuisance stuff is actually your nervous system. When
Hmm.
you find it difficult to make a choice, someone says, "Hey, want to go out for lunch?" "Oh, that'd be lovely. Where do you want to go?" "Oh, I don't know. You choose. I'm fine with anywhere."
Yes.
Right? And it's not maybe from the perspective that you don't want to actually say what you'd like, but you actually can't choose.
Mhm.
You may have three places come up into your mind, but you can't clearly identify or articulate what you want. Then that can be your nervous system. And then this translates into business and leadership too, right? There's the term like adaptive compliance. And you mentioned, leadership and business earlier in the introduction. And when somebody can't actually speak up when they're in a meeting and everyone's saying, or the person running the meeting saying, "Okay, here's the plan. We're going to do A, B, C. Here's the subparts. Okay. Is everyone in agreement?" Well, the fact that people nod their head does not mean they're in agreement, but they could be having difficulties because they've got a completely dysregulated nervous system for whatever the reason may be. And it could be the corporate environment and it could be something personal. But when you can't give an opinion and feel safe enough to give an opinion, even if it's just if they say, "What color of flower do you like?" If you can't say yellow, then these are really honest, true signs that you are just tapped right out and your nervous system is on high alert. So it
Okay,
impacts us
then if you mind me
everywhere.
interrupting quickly, where does your nervous system come in? Does it come in first or does it come in later? You've made
First,
these, it comes in first. Tell us more, please.
yeah. So your nervous system is dictating what goes on in your life on a day-to-day basis way before your mind kicks into place because it is part of the automatic or autonomic network within us that must continue to function for us. It responds to the chemical activity that happens in your body as soon as a thought comes in. But that chemical response happens before your thought is even conscious.
Hmm.
So you get a loop between the brain and the gut. And with these chemical responses, when they hit, like that same thought, like, "Oh, I shouldn't be here anymore. I'm hurting my kids. I need to leave. They're better off looking with their dad looking after them than me." That creates a certain chemical activity based on hormones and everything else in the body that creates its own signature, so to speak. And the body and the gut and the brain actually start to crave that chemical signature. The more often it happens, the more it wants it because the nervous system and the brain want stability and things to be familiar. Its goal is to keep us alive. However, it doesn't have an opinion on to whether or not we like this method or not. So
Hmm.
it just wants that same chemical hit to happen all the time.
Well,
So
help
when
me
we
out here
start,
for a second. I love what you're saying. I want please continue a second, but it's like you came about, and like you said, even in the womb, you had thoughts. But to me, you've improved from that
Mhm.
initial, if it was your nervous system, but now they're better. How does that happen?
Well, I am actually a bit of a medical anomaly. I'm no longer under the care of a neurologist because they can't figure out why I'm better. Um, for the condition I have, surgery is the only option. I'm just getting
Wow.
better. Like, but for 2 years, Mark, my whole life was counter height, like kitchen counter height, because I couldn't bend, I couldn't do anything, could have no change of pressure in
Wow.
my body.
Mhm.
So I became a germaphobe for a while because if I sneezed or coughed or did like it was excruciating, the pain in my head. But when I started to really understand how my thoughts were impacting my nervous system and how my nervous system works, then I was able to shift the thought patterns, which changed the chemical response. And I started to listen to my body. Like our body's brilliant. Our mind only knows that last nanosecond, what just happened. But our body knows actually what's about to happen. We think of somebody and we get that phone call, and it's like, "I was just thinking about you. Thank you for calling." But you already knew because you had that thought. Or
Hmm.
you're going to walk into that
Interesting.
meeting and you're like, "Oh, I think it's going to be a really difficult one today." Just because you've got these feelings in your body. And then you walk out of the meeting and you go, "Nailed it. Yeah, that was tough." Because your
Hmm.
body reads the energy of the environment you're about to go into. So you put all this together and you learn how to work with it and read it, which is what I help people do. Then you can, and one of the simplest things is when you get a thought you don't want, that's not helpful, is I just teach people say stop, just stop. That's a command your brain recognizes as important. It gives you that split second to pause. and you can either think a new thought or you can do like I've got this um, clarity sequence. It's just a couple of minutes that you can use to just calm the nervous system down really quickly so that you can have better clarity as to what it is you truly want to be doing in your next step.
Hmm, that's interesting. Well, as you say that, let's touch on one of the questions that we discussed before that we kind of liked about talking today. And one of them is, have you noticed that sometimes people create assumptions or even possibly judgments when they don't fully understand what they're feeling? So how does that apply?
A big part of that is mostly because we're not taught or we don't even have the idea that we can question it or that what we're sensing or feeling has any meaning. It's just like, oh, that's your body, or that's the way you were brought up. That's just the way you think. We have, in order to survive as a young child, you adapt to your family. You need them to take care of you. They've got to feed you. They've got to house you. They have got to be there for you. So as an infant, you learn certain sounds you make. Well, this cry got this response, and I felt better. This sound, oh, that didn't work. I'm even, I feel worse. And we continue with that skill, because it is a skill throughout our whole life, which
Mhm.
is then developing our thoughts and our beliefs. And
Which is our comfort levels.
absolutely, yes. Yeah. And right, remember the brain's function is to keep you safe, and it likes to do it through what's familiar. So stay comfortable. Don't rock the boat. Or you may have had experiences where you spoke up. Like I would ask questions in my family and they say, we don't talk about that. End of conversation. So you stop asking questions.
Hmm.
So
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
go ahead.
No, please.
Okay. For many of our listeners, they're balancing family, they're balancing work, personal pressures, things to deal with, and things that we hear, and as you mentioned, what we learned when we were younger, through school, through work. What's one simple way that we can begin to maybe regulate some of the things you're talking about, or maybe, as you mentioned, reset?
I start every single morning with resetting my nervous system. Because if you had a dream, that can change your nervous system. If you've had a rough night, tossing and turning or overheating, even anything can impact our nervous system. So it's really important to take a couple of minutes every morning. There is breathing exercises that people can do. Some of them, to be perfectly honest, don't work really well because you have to actually get your nervous system calmed down a little bit before the breathing exercises actually work. Meditation can be beautiful, but it's even better if you've already started to calm things in your body. So, a super simple one is just like we got a couple of seconds. Can I share one?
Sure, please. We
Yeah,
have about
okay.
15 minutes left. Please.
Yeah. So the mind recognizes and the body recognizes consistent breathing, right? When we go into overwhelm or anxiousness or fear, right? Our breathing and all of our bodily functions become erratic. So to calm that down, even just when you first wake up in the morning, it is great to just like breathe in for the count of five and then exhale for the count of five. A lot of people recommend, breathing in for four and exhaling for six, exhaling longer. It is an awesome method, but I find it most effective after you've done the five in, five out. That steady in and out actually calms the body. It tells the body that there's rhythm, steady rhythm, and it becomes a familiar rhythm, which the body likes. So if you do that for 2 minutes, even 1 minute, but two would be wonderful. And then cross your hands like bilaterally, which in itself is a pose you can do it this way for real comfort, but this all of a sudden is opposed to tell your body it's safe. You just take your two fingers and put them right under your collarbone and very gently, because it's a sensitive spot. It may even be tender for some people, but you very gently just do little circles, just little rub right here while you're continuing to do your breathing. Down this way is where the vagus nerve actually splits off. We've got a left and a right. So you're actually helping to directly influence it.
So
Your
our
breathing
mind
will,
is influencing our nervous system. The nervous
yeah.
system may be one way, but the mind can influence it.
Hmm.
Okay, I like that. That's not what I was catching earlier. Okay.
Yeah, so it can influence it.
Mhm.
So you steady your breathing, you do this for a couple of minutes. Your breathing may naturally change. You may go into the longer exhale. All fine. Follow what your body then just naturally does. And you'll know your system has started to calm or regulate by your shoulders may drop, you may yawn, you may sigh, or you just might feel this like a weight has just been lifted from you somehow. But your body will give you a signal saying, ah, this is good. And it's a beautiful way to start your day. If you don't
Okay.
have time, I would encourage you to make it. But if you're thinking you can't, most of us shower in the morning. Just take a short time, even in the shower, with that warm water running on your back, and just do it then. And even that will be of help.
That
It's
helps your day start right. That's what I'm hearing. And
yeah,
I agree with that. That's what you do in the morning makes your day. So what you're
absolutely.
saying, there's some exercises that you can perform, in this case, as you're mentioning, in the shower, and will help your day have a better foundation to work
Yeah.
from the
You're
shower
starting off
to.
clearer. You're
Mhm,
starting off with less, whatever it might be that you normally deal with.
mhm.
For me, it's
Yeah.
critical because my nervous system, like my vagus nerve, is compromised. So I'm in fight or flight 24/7.
Hmm.
And so
Okay.
doing these things, like proofs in the pudding, Mark, you got to try it. It
You
works.
got to try it. Well, that's one of the things I tell people about all the time. I'm reading the book right now, Stop Trying. I'm sorry, I don't know the title. I'm sorry, I don't know the author right now, but just started it. But Stop Trying, and we need to do something. It's about action.
Hmm.
And that's what I tell everyone. You can talk about it all day long. You can say, I'm trying all the time, but until you take that first step, you're not doing anything. You're not trying. You're not making any effort. So you're not going to get anywhere. And
Yeah.
so I like what you're saying. Can I touch on two things I heard from you? And it's two of the quotes that I have. I have some trademarked acronyms I work with. And one of them is called anger. Actions not gaining effective results. Pretty much like I did focused earlier. I like the acronyms to help us remember. But anger, ANGER, actions not gaining effective results. And they have as the inverse to that a word that you used earlier, calm. Canceling anger leads motivation. And I put those two together. And I heard some of what you were saying that paralleled that in some ways, but I'd like to hear more from you. Is that some of what you're saying, even with your breathing techniques, which I have taught in domestic violence cases, situations? What about that? Anger, actions not gaining effective results, and calm, canceling anger leads motivation. Am I hearing some of those same things from you?
Yes. Like anger is a reactive emotion, partly biology, partly chemistry, with what the body wants. But yeah, it's for me, in the people I've worked with and who I've witnessed in my life, anger is a protective mechanism often. It's just like it's my way or it's not, because we can't possibly figure out how to cope with the world any other way.
And we become frustrated.
So frustrated, deeply frustrated. Yes. Yeah. Um, Frustration usually comes before the anger, but we miss it because we go into the anger so quickly. But anytime you can catch yourself feeling frustrated with something, that's a great indication that your nervous system is struggling. And you can then do some things to help maybe slow down getting into that state of anger and then not being able to function in a way that is generative and kind and, all those wonderful words.
Right.
But yeah, anger
And
is a
that's one of those,
really big issue within itself.
it is. And that's what I tell people so often. And some people want to make excuses because, as we talked about earlier, even something like anger can be a comfort level to some people because that's what they've learned. And you're saying it's part of your nervous system. I say it's part of a learned system because we can change it. We can get out of that
Mhm.
philosophy that we build comfort levels because of something that we do often and it becomes reactive in some ways. And then we think it's right. And some people say, well, I'm from Italy. We all do that. Well, it's still a learned practice. Now, some beautiful people from Italy, but that's just some of the quotes that we learn become our comfort levels many times, don't they?
Yes, it takes a lot of courage to challenge what you've grown up with. We don't want to challenge our family. We love our families. We don't want to challenge their beliefs. We don't, it's really, it's really uncomfortable to think that what you've grown up believing, and like I didn't start to do this and successfully until I turned 60. To find that strength within you to be okay with finding your own personal truth, knowing it may upset or even offend somebody else that is so dear to you, that's scary. And for most of us, that's enough to keep us where we're at.
Mhm.
We don't want to entertain somebody else's point of view. We don't want to see the beauty in somebody else's culture. We just want to stay in this it's really a very small world to live in. We're cutting parts of ourselves off that we won't allow to grow and be there because we're too afraid to know that they're even inside us.
And it become comfort levels for us in
Yeah,
many ways.
yeah.
Well, let me
Because as I
touch
said,
on another. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's because the brain has no point of view if it's right or wrong.
Mhm.
That's
But
our
we,
job. We got
that's how we mold it. Right. It's our job. Exactly. Another kind of question that we talked about a bit earlier is, have you seen what happens when people begin to rebuild trust within themselves? Does that, and when you think about that, have you seen what happens when people begin to rebuild that trust within themselves? And then to touch on the end of that, does that naturally extend to others?
it is such a beautiful moment when I'm working with someone and I see that that spark start to light within them. You can actually see it in their eyes, and you've maybe seen it with people too. Something shifts when they all of a sudden realize something and they know they can trust it. They know that they believe it, even if it's some really wacky way of thinking, but it's like, wow, that's actually me. And as we do this more often, we are going to be, getting into the world of neuroplasticity. You're going to start to rework these neural pathways and you're going to start to change things around. And I find it's key to remind ourselves of those little successes and those little aha moments and to relive them because then you can get that physical feeling again, which is really encouraging to try something else. So, yes, it grows, it gives you the confidence. And even if you don't have the confidence, it gives you just a bit of a desire, right? How I was saying earlier, what do you want to create that's so powerful and so strong in you that you can go over any hurdle? This is the example of that. I want more of that. I want to see more of who I am. I want to feel like that again. And it grows.
And that's just that commitment, becoming accountable and then responsible. And like
Yeah.
you're saying, that grows, it builds
Yeah.
upon
Yeah. It's
itself.
not a one time and done. You
Mm-mm.
gotta keep at it. You really
Where
do.
where is that magic wand? Darn it. Yeah, that is
Maybe
so true. And
yeah, we'll
in
figure it out.
working those working those steps, I'm with you. And we've got about 5 minutes left. So it seems like a powerful takeaway from your work is that change, again, starts within. What would you want every listener that listening to it today and listens to it later remember the most from this conversation?
Okay. I'm going to say two quick things. One, in relation to what we just talked about, it does not necessarily transfer to another person. So do not have the expectation or the judgment that because you're doing this work, that it's going to change somebody else. That's their choice. But be that role model because you never know what might be that moment where they think, oh, I would like that too. Right. But we really need to stay out of judgment. I really work with people, stay out of judgment, judgment of self and judgment of others. But to quickly sum up, remember the nervous system. It's something new for you. But if you want to change your outcome, then you've got to begin with changing your nervous system. When you change your nervous system, you create the world that you want to live because you become the person driving the direction that you want to go versus following what others are saying.
And you're making those steps that you
Mhm.
need to make
Yeah.
to build the life that you want most.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That's beautiful. That's what I talk about is I build bridges, real bridges, not steel bridges, but bridges between people, achieving unity through communication and collaboration. And I like when you talk about that, that if you're doing something, if you're taking those steps, you can make a difference in your own life. And then as I say that, as you mentioned before, people may not follow you, but individuals may choose that alignment also and that awareness, which can create a ripple effect that
Yes.
can strengthen families, teams,
Hmm.
and communities, right?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's the whole process was making the world a better place, one step going forward at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
awesome. I like that. Any final words before we start to close?
Just never believe that you can't make a change within yourself or within your world or within your community. But it starts with you. And we feel that, well, I can't make any difference. I'm sorry, I don't agree. We all can make a difference.
And we can make a difference for the better.
We can go either way. What are you going to choose?
What are you going to choose? What do you want in your tomorrow?
Yes.
And that's by making those changes, those improvements in your network, in your neuro, as I think it's saying earlier, just to think and believe and take that accountability, that responsibility, and that commitment as you go forward. Am I hearing that right?
Yeah. So powerful. Absolutely.
Wow. Thank you so much, Karen, for joining us today. It's relieving in a lot of ways that the things that you've brought to us, and the simple things that breathing techniques to learn that, for sharing your experiences because that's tough. Think about where you came from when you were young, what you grew up. We get chill bumps as I even think about that. Talk about that. But your heart, your very practical wisdom that you're sharing with us, with our listeners. So as we close today's conversation, one thing to me comes very clear. Real change happens when vision meets action, taking those steps. And then when people come together with purpose in what they're
Yes.
doing and where they're going, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, your message reminds us that when we pause long enough to listen and reflect, as you mentioned earlier, we begin to see how our lives have that new clarity. From that place, real change can begin, both within ourselves and how we connect with others, right?
Yes.
I'm enjoying what you said today. It brings out a lot of openness for our audience. And I know I am, and I think we are as the audience as well, truly grateful for your wisdom and the work that you've done to help people restore that balance, that trust, and alignment in their lives for people like yourself that have come through things that were very challenging, very difficult. But you're coming out and becoming a valued guest on especially Achieving Unity platform, what you're doing, what you're sharing with others. Because as we go from what used to be a formula to a leadership system and helping us all to continue turning that confusion, something you mentioned also earlier, into clarity and change that disconnection into unity. I
Yeah.
love that. Beautiful. Yeah, that's awesome. So if anything today, to the audience, everyone that's listening today, or whenever you're able to listen to the recording, if achieving unity resonates with you, please follow that feeling. Reach out and connect with me. www.achievingunity.com. You can also reach me at www.markentrican.com. It's the same site. But as Karen spoke today, reach out to her. Reach out to Karen. You can contact her on LinkedIn, which we had the QR code earlier. Get to her Instagram. She's on Facebook. She's on YouTube, which we had that QR code earlier. Her website right now is under construction, reconstruction. She's rebuilding a website. But again, if you can just get in touch with her, Karen Leslie, it's Leslie.
Yep.
Contact
And
her.
email Karen at karenleslie.ca.
Thank you. Yeah, I can't forget email. So would you say that one more time?
Karen at karenleslie.ca.
.ca, and that's Canada.
Yeah.
So everybody knows, kind of knows what that it says. Not .com, it's a .ca because it's a Canadian URL extension. So that's beautiful. So until next time, Karen, thank you so much. I just enjoyed this, but let's all, and through you and with you, let's continue to transform that complexity into execution, turn our chaos into connection, and our purposes into action, taking those steps. Let us all continue achieving unity. www.achievingunity.com. Call us 303-362-8733, which is 303 focused on your dial. And I hope all of you will always remember that. 303 focused. If you ever feel yourself unfocused, give us a call. Make sure. We can stay focused on listening and dialogue, writing it down, and breaking it down for better collaboration, better communication as we continue to achieve unity by harnessing the power, the strength that we all need, especially for our kids as we're growing up, but encouraging, inspiring, and including others in building better businesses, better lives, and a better world. This has been Mark Entrican with the Achieving Unity Leadership System, reminding you that life is truly what we make it. So let's help everyone around us feel seen, heard, and supported in everyday moments, the ones that truly matter and make life awesome together in unity. Thank you all. Thank you, Karen. Again, I just have enjoyed you so much.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
it. Last comment?
Just thank you.
You.
Yeah, my heart
Thank
is very
you.
full.
Again, this will be out for everyone on recording. I think all of this will help us understand that what I heard from you today, and I hope you enjoy this, hope you appreciate this, when the mind finds clarity, the whole life finds balance. And I think that I got that from you from what you're saying today. When the mind finds or creates clarity, the whole life finds balance. Karen,
Yes.
again, thank you so much. I appreciate it. We'll talk again later.
Sounds
We'll stay
great.
in
Thank
touch.
you.
But
All right.
for all of you, hope to see you all again next week. Till then, cheers.